The Nintendo GameCube is home to some of my favorite games of all time, but even I have to admit, the console doesn't offer many unique ways to play games. Every previous Nintendo console had something: the NES Advantage and Power Glove, frickin' Rob, the Super Scope, and a ton more. The Nintendo 64 didn't have much either, but the controller itself brought back the analog stick and an entire new way to play, along with Rumble, and besides, third-party offerings did quite a bit for it, like the steering wheel that works with Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, but that's beside the point. The GameCube's controller is probably my all-time favorite controller. I still use this thing for Smash, and all the games on the console work perfectly with it. This thing was designed for 3D platformers, and the console is home to so many great ones. But it's a shame, because I want a fresh and innovative gaming experience on my GameCube, and the closest thing the console has to something like that is the Donkey Kong Bongos, and I have to say, for such a seemingly gimmicky accessory, it has some of the most enjoyable experiences the console has to offer, and that's saying something. I want to start the video by defining what a gimmick is and why I chose the word to describe this accessory in my title. According to Google, a gimmick is a trick or device intended to attract attention, publicity, or business. Essentially, something that's cool in concept and attention-grabbing but offers no substance upon completing the company's desired action. An example of a gimmick is the Microsoft Kinect. It marketed itself as the controllerless way to play video games, and yeah, they weren't lying, but they were stretching it a little bit. They made it look so much better than it actually was. Now yes, it's common practice to do this, but what makes something a gimmick is feeling let down upon using the product for yourself. I call the DK Bongos a gimmick because the concept is very appealing and will surely attract the attention of consumers, but what makes it a gimmick done right is the fact that it's genuinely fun and there's no hidden downsides with it. It isn't hiding anything. You control games with bongos and these allow just that. Now, this accessory would be nothing without some quality games, and there's only a couple games that's supported on the console, but these games fully realize the accessory and use it to its full potential. There's two games in particular I'll be taking a look at today. I don't know if there's any more games that are compatible with the bongos. If you know of any, let me know, but the first I'll be talking about is Donkey Konga. This game is exactly what you'd expect a Donkey Kong rhythm game to be, and that isn't a bad thing at all. It's actually got a lot more to it than you may think. So, obviously the main mode, Street Performance, allows you to choose a song and perform it with your bongos. The only inputs are left hit, right hit, both at once, and clap, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it makes it easy to pick up and play and still offers a challenge later on. The only problem with performances is the delay between you hitting the drum and it recognizing you did in-game. Some of the hits don't line up right with the rhythms, and when they do, you have to hit it slightly earlier or you won't get it in time. This definitely takes some getting used to and is quite annoying at times, but it's nothing intolerable, and once you get a feel for it, you'll be all set. Then, like most games similar to it, there's a meter of some sort, and if you pass a certain point, you win. It's nothing special, but it works. At some points there's long notes that are entirely optional, but if you spam whatever input, you'll get a crap ton of coins that you can spend on a multitude of things, which I'll get to in a bit. The song list, while not great, is pretty good. Not a ton of songs I'm too big a fan of, but it's got a remixed version of both the Mario main theme and Zelda main theme, and these sound great. The Zelda one is one of my favorite versions of the song. And beyond those, there's the Pokemon theme, the Kirby Right Back At You theme, and even the DK rap, which I love. While it doesn't have the best roster of songs by any means, it's got a couple that are entirely unique to the game and some pretty solid tunes otherwise. But there's a bit more to the game than just the main mode. There's a battle mode to see who's the ultimate bongo player, but I only have one set so I can't really do that. There's challenge mode that randomizes the songs to see how many you can get through before you fail, and DK Town, which allows you to buy a bunch of things with your coins. In order to play songs on their hardest difficulty, you have to purchase them with the coins you get for doing well in the songs on an easier mode, which makes a lot of sense and forces the player to start with the more simple stuff before they get to the more complex and challenging pieces. You can also buy minigames to play in the Ape Arcade, and these are short, high score based, and honestly pretty fun. I've only unlocked 2 of them, so I can't speak for them all, but this Whack-A-Mole clone is pretty cool, and climbing these vines and collecting fruit, while tough to control at first, is quite enjoyable as well. So, overall, Donkey Konga is exactly what you'd expect it to be. It's a super fun, bongo based rhythm game with some awesome Nintendo tunes and some fun minigames that give you an awesome variety of sample experiences with the accessory. I know there's a Donkey Konga 2, I don't own it, I'm sure it's great too, but I'm not super interested in taking a look at that. However, the DK Bongo experience that gets me the most excited is Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, which is the most unique GameCube game, by far the most unique Donkey Kong game, and an incredibly overlooked Nintendo game that everyone needs to play. It fully utilizes the bongos in a platforming, high-score based game, and it's perfect. Controls with the bongos take a second, but once you get them down, it's nothing but fun for hours. I will say, it's difficult to figure out a comfortable setup to play. If you've got a table of some sort in front of you, then set it up on that, but if you're trying to sit back and play the game, you're gonna have a tough time. This is not a game you can really wind down and play. It's a very involved and active game. It didn't make me sweat, but in late summer I did get pretty warm. Step aside Ring Fit Adventure and Wii Fit, this is how you get in shape with video games. So, the game's broken into kingdoms named after different fruits, and each kingdom has 2 stages and then a boss fight at the end. These are played consecutively with minimal time in between, but if you run out of beats at any time throughout the kingdom, it's game over. You collect bananas, kill enemies, and perform combos to get more beats.
Bears eat beets. Bears. Beets. Battlestar Galactica.
Bears do not... What is going on? What are you doing?
Collect as many as you can throughout the first 2 stages and then take on the boss. The beats are your health, so you could either have a huge advantage or a huge disadvantage in the fight depending on your previous performance. When you win, the remaining beats are counted and you get X amount of crests depending on the amount you came out with. I love that all the Bongos games aren't trying to be these super big adventure games. They know exactly what they are, what they're trying to do, and absolutely nail it. These are all arcade-like experiences. You play for a high score, everything's in short bursts, and nothing really gets stale. Sure, the entire game follows the same formula, 2 stages boss fight, 2 stages boss fight, but all the stages are super unique and fun. Except for swimming, they really f***ed that up. Controlling Donkey Kong is actually a lot easier than it may seem. Left hit and right hit will make him move that direction, hit faster to move faster, hitting both at once is a jump, and clapping does pretty much everything else. I'm not exaggerating, the manual admits it. They don't over-tutorialize, which I really appreciate. There aren't a ton of inputs, so that's really unnecessary, and I'm glad they didn't bother. Playing the game with the bongos feels so right. They offer everything you need and never feel like they're holding the game back at all. They really make the game something unique. This is an experience like no other, and the level design is really great. It knows the bongos don't offer precision, and it never expects that of you. I didn't notice as much of a delay with the inputs as I did with Donkey Konga either, but that's probably because this game is less focused on perfectly timing your hits. Though the game gets more difficult, it doesn't feel like it's at the fault of the controller, nor does the level design ever work against it. Everything works great. If you die, you know you aren't skilled enough yet and have to get better. It isn't poor game design at all. It's so much fun to play, and I'm really surprised by how little praise it receives. You should really play this game. It's a bit of a hidden gem on the GameCube, which I know is weird to say for a first-party Nintendo title, but it's absolutely true. And it's such an inexpensive experience too, especially for the GameCube. You look at GameCube game prices recently and they're ridiculously high. They've shot up so much, but these games really haven't been affected a whole lot. You look at price charting as of late August 2020, and you can get both of these games complete with the bongos for around $50, which is a decent amount of money, but when you consider how much other games for the system are, it's shocking. You're getting a new accessory and 2 great games for less than the price of a current-gen game, and less than half the price of a lot of first-party Nintendo games on the GameCube. These games aren't the best on the console, but they are some of my favorites, and undoubtedly some of the most fun, unique, and experimental games of the console generation. Just do me a favor, don't buy the Wii version, it's useless. The new play control is total garbage and strips the game of its identity. It takes all the fun out of it. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope I've been able to convince you to add these games to your collection. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and if you want to see more and support the channel and help it grow, please subscribe. It's free for you and means a lot to me. Thank you. What are your thoughts on the DK Bongos games? Did you play any when you were younger? I'd love to know down in the comments. If you've got any feedback or recommendations for me, as always, drop them down below. I take everything you guys say into consideration. Thank you. Thanks again for watching, everyone. I'll catch you in the next one.